Back into the Earth War we go. This is Aliens issue 3 of 6. Love this cover. Again, nothing to do with this particular issue, but I just love, of course, we get the, what do you call it, the ship cargo hold, aliens burrowing through, and with a hive look, just adds that feel. Again, these inner things are just absolutely terrifying. Now, I'm sure that's probably like one of the artists drawing themselves in, being ripped apart by an alien embryo. Print date on this was January 1988. Now, this part is important. Again, I know that people say that's a lot of reading, but this is, again, I talked about this when we did issue 1, slow burn. Listen, Dr. Rayner, start whenever you'd like. Patient, Herman. Okay. I'm with my mother. We're still in LA. Your mother died several years ago. Cancer. We're taking the Wilshire tube into downtown LA. Right then I knew I was dreaming. I've never seen an empty tube. All of a sudden we hear this loud scraping sound. Scraping? How do you mean? Like fingernails ripping fabric. And then suddenly the car stops. Something was trying to get in. I pounded on the door hoping someone would hear us. Then these things started to claw into the car. I ran to my mother and she made this sick bubbling sound deep in her chest. Now, after he says he ran to his mother, look at how her face has this look of terror as the xenomorphs come after her. But then her face changes, like seeing two different versions of his mother. And this is just absolutely terrifying. It's this particular panel always kind of gives me a very bad brain memory every time I close my eyes after I've kind of gone down an alien deep hole. But this patient, Herman, says, it was just a stupid nightmare, right? Right? Now, there are several more reports of these people having dreams of the xenomorphs. I kept screaming for my mommy, but she wasn't there, just the monster, coming closer and closer. It was shiny and wet, and I think it wanted to kill me. And this is Dr. Arona. Fascinating. All these reports are within a 50-mile radius. Yes, Dr. Arona. And I've got a dozen more, just the same. Every patient rates sensitive on the Cryer scale and double figures on the Emerson. The descriptions of the creatures, they're consistent, identical. Some of the technicians on the psych side did a workup postulation, different modes of communication for the alien creatures. The most plausible was telepathy, or at least some form of telepathy. You think they're trying to communicate with us? Unlikely. The data we've collected doesn't suggest higher intelligence. Keep that in mind, because again, foreshadowing. The sightings are random and confined to a specific geographic area. Very odd. We've kept the existence of the alien creatures completely secret. All of a sudden, we're experiencing a wave of spontaneous telepathic events. The question is, why now? And why Earth? Now, spoilers, if you haven't been following along, I'll make sure to leave issues 1 and 2 and eventually the playlist up here so that you guys can watch the videos chronologically so you can kind of get the whole idea of the Earth War. Last issue, we come to find out that the pilot of the tug ship Junket got boarded by an alien. The pilot spot ejected, James Lakowski. It was picked up by BioNational. He has been brought to the Houston lab. And I love these internal thoughts he's thinking. Mother, where are you? Oh, Jesus, it hurts all over. I'm scared. In the last issue, he was saying, I hurt on my arms and my chest. And we see the facehugger on Lukowski. And he has a monitor on his chest, and his hands are bound. Here, the overmorph is gone. So that's why he says, Mother, where are you? Oh, Jesus, it hurts all over. I'm scared. He's coming out of it. Your name is James Lukowski. You are the captain of the space freighter Junket. You are on Earth in a quarantine medical facility. If you're feeling up to it, we'll release you from the straps. We finally see him open his eyes. He goes, why aren't I dead? Please, can someone tell me what happened? I want to see my wife, please. And then here's Red and Grain, and I don't remember their names off the top of my head for the comics, but in the reprints in Earthhive, they're Red and Grain. He looks normal enough. Well, he's worth billions. I wish everyone were that normal. And then we actually get to see a CAT scan or an MRI of where the alien parasite resides when it infects somebody. The creature has logged itself in the subject's digestive system, drawing relatively insignificant amounts of blood and fluids. Nevertheless, it's growing at an incredible rate. What about the pilot? Does he know? And I love how it cuts to this, where it's just this kind of internal thought of, for thy patient do no harm. Because there's been some discussion on that point. Ethical questions have been raised regarding the priority of informing the subject, considering the ultimate prognosis. And you? What do you think, Miner? We have a unique opportunity to study the development of an utterly new alien life form. Reactions of the hosts could be important. Of course, in that case, he would have to know. And so we cut to this discussion because all they care about is getting a weapon system. We see Lukowski just completely confused, and then we see him say, then tell him. And they just straight up tell him, they say that you have an alien inside you and you are going to die. In the novelization that goes further, and they say just very coldly, if it's any consolation, your wife will get the full insurance. And he goes, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about. But here we see him go, ah. And before we can wonder what's happening, we cut to Salvaje. Now remember, Salvaje, from what we've seen so far, is a cult zealot leader of the Church of Immaculate Incubation. He believes the Xenomorph is the true Messiah. He says that he wants for you to be part of this immaculate incubation, you have to become one with the true Messiah. So he visits a lady of the night, for lack of a better term. Jesus, you've been staring at me for hours. Is that all you want to do? I'm sorry, does it bother you? No, I mean, it's your money. It's my money. Women are blessed. They know how it feels to be joined with another life. Look at his face. It's just this awe and excitement. To share themselves selfishly. It must be wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. My back's killing me. Come on, babe. You're making me feel weird. Are you sure you don't want something? Yes. I want to know how it feels. Whew. Guys, just creep city all over. Now, we cut to the Benedict, which is Colonel Stephen and Hicks's ship. What happens is Stevens realizes that the head count came out one too many. I told the base commander you were unreliable, Hicks, but this is insanity. What the hell were you thinking? Did you think at all? I offer no excuses, sir. I did what? No excuses. Oh, that's very manly. Maybe you could try an explanation. If not for me, then for the men. Explain why you brought extra weight onto a carefully balanced gravity drive ship. It's not his fault. He did it for me. Now, essentially, in the comics, like I talked about, they only have so many issues to get the story going. This is why I said when you read these, try to read it in tandem with these. Because it says, where is it? Hold on. Let me try to find it for you for a moment in the novel. Because basically Newt spoke up to save Hicks. But what happens is in the book, Hicks, or in this case, Wilkes, finds a way to get at Stevens, saying that this is his basic first command. It says, on board the transport ship Benedict, when the Marines came out of hypersleep, the surprise took a while to filter down to Stevens. And I'm going to use the novelization name so you guys kind of understand where the changes are. Wilkes wondered if the man would have noticed at all had not the head count come out one too many. The squads picked it up right away. They all knew each other, so Billy stood out for them. But Stevens was a chair jockey. He had a list of his troops somewhere, and he couldn't yet identify them by names or faces. Wilkes watched the colonel frown at the numbers on his flat screen. Sergeant Wilkes, I've got a +1 on my roster. Wilkes thought about letting it slide, just to see, but he'd find out sooner or later. No point in putting it up forever. Yes, sir. I brought an extra person, sir. Stevens blinked as if still groggy from the chamber. What? Sir, a civilian expert on the aliens. What, are you crazy? This is a top secret military mission, Sergeant. I'll have your butt court-martialed. You could have screwed up the entire mission, mister. G-ship balances are critical at light-year jumps. An extra person could have thrown us off a parsec while we were in hypershift. Behind Wilkes, Bueller whispered easily. Too bad. I like that raspberry-flavored shit myself. Now, we'll get into Bueller and who he is in the comics in just a moment. Stevens says he wants to throw Wilkes in the brig and scramble the code. Then it says, time to flex a little muscle. Sir, you could do that. But perhaps Gen staff might be interested in knowing why the CO didn't discover the stowaway before liftoff. Giving that a final inspection as part of the CO's duties, sir. Wilkes knew this was Stevens' first command, and that he did not want anything to mar it. Sir, if I might have a private word? Stevens was pissed, no doubt about it, but he had to be working the angles, trying to see how this was going to look once he got home. Since Wilkes wouldn't bet a bent Democrat that he was going to get home, that didn't much matter to him. But Stevens wouldn't be thinking like that. Wilkes followed. Behind him, the squad stood at parade rest, watching and trying to hear. Sir, if you could show that you are responsible for taking on a civilian expert, then there wouldn't be any problem. You buried a CMA code in your log, didn't you? Stevens glared at Wilkes. If eyes were lasers, Wilkes would have been a crisp brown spot sizzling on the deck by now. Wilkes hadn't been able to check Stevens' CO log. The access commands were that far beyond his abilities as a computer break-in artist. But he was fairly certain that Stevens had entered a CMA cover my ass code, so that it was dated near the start of the mission. This was SOP among nervous officers, a simple piece of insurance that could sit there unused unless something wonky came up. It was easy enough. Log entries were all automatically timed and dated. A CMA code was some innocuous piece of input, usually a phrase that was related to whatever data were going in, but stilted in such a way that it didn't quite fit. If the situation arose that was unforeseen, the officer could use this code to cover himself by entering new data and then referring back to the phrase as if it had been put there in anticipation of such happenings. So Stevens finally acquiesces. He says, all right, trot him out and let me see him. See her, Wilkes said. Where'd you get her? I broke her out of a mental hospital, sir. So I like how Steve Perry expounded on this, where we just kind of get this moment where he just talked about, you could have screwed up the gravity drive ship. She goes, it's not his fault. He did it for me. Oh, I understand. Now it's not his fault. You forced him to stow you aboard. forced him to jeopardize the mission. Leave her out of it. It's my responsibility, and the gravity balance is normal. I dumped 104 pounds of that raspberry-flavored shit from the ship's stores just before we took off. So here's where it said, Bueller, I like that raspberry-flavored shit. Shut up, Isley. So the character here, his name's Isley, but they say Bueller. There's a character here that's going to be very important. His name's Butler. But in the novelization, he's called Bueller. I should lock your ass up and keep you there until court-martial. I'm sure the military court would be interested in hearing how a top-secret military vessel left base without a thorough inspection by the commanding officer, sir. But the mission comes ahead of my personal desires. Okay, the girl's your responsibility, Hicks. We'll settle the rest when we return to Earth. If we return to Earth. So even though this is great and it moves the pace as a comic should, again, the novelization just adds another frickin' layer, guys, and it's just great. Now, with that said, Newt is unofficially part of the crew. However, there is sabotage happening aboard the ship, and there's a giant explosion. But what I like here is as the sabotage happens aboard the Benedict, we cut back to James Lukowski. Pain, like a scream inside me. Oh, God. For Christ's sake, hold him down. I'm trying. We need some tanks in here now. I want to live. I want to live. And so we get this issue right here. We see James Lukowski come off the bed, going into this harrowing pain. We see him try to get back to his wife. He goes, so close. I ache for her touch. James, we touch. The first time in my life, I understand perfectly. Get him! But unfortunately, it was a delusion. Oh, God, no. For Christ's sake, hold him down. I'm trying. We need some tranks in here now. Watch it. He's reaching for your gun. Damn it, get him down. Oh, Jesus, it's coming out. It's coming out. Now, one of the doctors says that he wants to experience the birth firsthand. And he basically tells James, what the hell do you think you're doing? This entire project depends on you. Because the doctor says, what's happening? What's taking so long? And they say that it looks like James is fighting it. And so James grabs the dude's head. He goes, you want it? You can. And pulls his face down on his chest. The chest bishop rips out. And then the guy that said he wanted to watch the birth is now being ripped apart from the inside. His name was Horner. This was one of the red and green guys that we were talking about. And he gets shot in the head. It's his head to save it. Too important. Horner would understand. We need the alien alive. Now, again, the novelization really expounds on this part too. Basically, that guy, he tries to tell the guards to shoot him. And it says that neither guard would respond to his command. So this dude takes the gun from one of the security officers, points the gun, takes a breath, releases it halfway like he was trained, and then pulls the trigger. And then it says, we don't need to get the catch net for the alien because it looks like it's happy in its new home. So it is feeding on Horner. Now, again, what I like is how this is the Earth War Saga. We don't know where this is going to go. Think of this in like Eyes of 1988. We don't know where this is going to go. All we know is that the alien is now on Earth. Bionational has it. What does that mean? While Hicks is out in space with Newt. That's why this is so freaking special, because it takes, because that's one thing when we talk about like Resurrection, Romulus, etc. Even the first part of Alien Earth, how people say that they get tired of the same thing in terms of alien getting loose on a ship and using the ship as a maze because it's so played out because it was done so well in the first film. And that's why the original, I will give the movie of AVP a break because they at least tried to do something different, but taking it to Earth then just really kind of cancels out everything that would happen when Ridley Scott's movie kicked in. In AVP, the original comics and novelization, it takes place on a planet called Ryushi. And so to see different worlds and to see the world of this future, is such a great idea. It kills off all those stereotypes of it's the ship, or it's, we're on the ship, blah 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 blah. It's good stuff like that. So with that said, guys, if you've enjoyed what you see, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it's like to get your action figures and comics, and pick up this series. This is one of the most, in my personal opinions, important part of the Alien mythos. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little bio-national bell next subscribe, that way as we get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. And if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to support the channel, I have also left a PayPal tip jar link down in the description. And if not, I still appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. Either way, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.